In this video, I'm going to do a blind triangle test between authentic Pad Kra Pao and a stir fry made with basil, and here's why. I've never actually had true Pad Kra Pao before, which is one of Thailand's most popular street foods. And if you live in the United States or the Western Hemisphere, there's a pretty good chance you haven't either. And that's because most versions here are missing one very special ingredient: Holy Basil. Pad Kra Pao means stir-fry holy basil, and holy basil, with its matte finish, oval leaves, jagged edges, and tiny hairs, is a completely different variety of basil from Italian or Thai basils, which are much more common here and are the ones that you'll usually find in recipes or restaurants in the United States. And today, I want to find out if I can actually taste the difference between the real deal holy basil that I grew in my backyard and the common substitute of Thai basil that I've been using instead. But before we get to that taste test, I want to break down the Pad Kra Pao framework, because the basil is obviously very important, but there are 5 core components that make this dish so special, and as we'll see, there are different versions all around Thailand. At its core, Pad Kra Pao really comes down to 5 components, and first is the protein. Ground pork is probably the most common, and that's what I'm using today, but as we can see in this video from OTR Food History, you'll see chicken, beef, seafood, or vegan versions all across Thailand. The second components are the aromatics, and usually these are sauteed in the pan and then added alongside the protein. Garlic and Thai bird's eye chilies are the classics, but you might see shallots, long peppers, onions, or even a few extra vegetables depending on the region. Third, we have the stir-fry sauce, which is typically salty, sweet, and umami. And traditionally, this is going to be a mix of fish sauce, soy sauce, and oyster sauce. Sometimes you'll see sugar added for more sweetness, or dark soy sauce can be added for color. And I really like using dark soy sauce in mine to get that deeper brown color when you add it to the pork. And fourth, we have the basil, and this is the key ingredient, and it should be holy basil for Pad Kra Pao, though yes, you can switch out the herbs to Thai or Italian basil if that's all you have. Then lastly, we have the serving style. Typically, this is served over jasmine rice and often topped with a crispy fried egg, and that egg is not just a garnish, it does add richness and texture that balances the spice in the dish. And I'll link to that video below if you want to see these different core components at play, in addition to hearing more about the history and how it's eaten today. But in this video, I'm zeroing in on the differences in basil, and I want to do a quick overview of Thai basil, Italian basil, and holy basil, because I think one of the most interesting things about holy basil for me is that when I eat it raw, I get this little tingling sensation on my tongue. Super weird. All basil varieties around the world are part of the Ocynum genus, and each have their own unique appearance and mix of aroma compounds that give them their unique flavor. But you may be wondering, what do these different basils taste like, and what words can I use to describe them? Well, in this study on the key aromatic compounds in basil, they came up with 7 key sensory attributes for basil. Piquancy, which is that sharp prickling and tingling sensation I was talking about. Then we have spicy, which is more aniseed. Numb taste, which is kind of like Sichuan pepper. Minty, which is the smell of menthol. Sweet. Clove, which is the smell of clove. Bitter, which is just a bitter taste. And this study looked at 9 varieties of basil and measured over 100 non-volatile metabolites and 134 volatiles that were assessed during these evaluations. Now, you can read through the study if you want, but for me, the defining difference in the holy basil is that more intense clove smell and that slight piquancy. It's not super strong, but there is that little tingle on the tongue. Thai basil to me feels a little bit less intense, more sweet, and I would say a little bit more anise smelling. Then Italian basil is a little on the sweeter side, and I honestly think it may match the clove a bit better as well. Now, it's pretty easy to pick up on the differences between these leaves if you're just biting into them raw, but the real question is, can I still pick up on these differences when they're mixed with a lot of other strong tasting ingredients like the ground pork, the stir-fry sauce, the garlic, and the chili? And this is why we have to put it to the test. For this test, I decided to try frying the ground pork, as this was the technique that I saw in that Pad Kra Pao video. Then I removed the pork, tossed in the aromatics of garlic and Thai chilies, and this is going to infuse the fat-soluble aroma compounds into the oil and spread throughout the dish. Then I tossed the pork back in and then spooned in the sauce, and right away you can see that color change, and this is really why I like adding a bit of dark soy sauce to my version. Then I let that all reduce down just a bit before taking the pork off the heat and splitting it into 2 pans and tossing in the requisite basil for each. We don't want to blast the basil here with heat, just stir it in so it starts to wilt a bit. Then I set up the triangle test by adding the holy basil to 2 bowls with green and the Thai basil to other 2 bowls before blindfolding up and removing one. So let's see what we got. Okay, let's get into this. No jasmine in our rice, no fried egg. I really wanted to kind of control for that variable of just the basil. So let's see if I can actually tell a difference between these. Okay, number 1. Super good. Perfect level of spice. The basil is super fragrant, nice little sting. I actually really like the texture of the pork. That's the first time I've tried kind of like frying it beforehand. I really like that. I might do that again. Let's go to number 2. Man, this is so good. Are those different? I'm not sure. Let's go to number 3. That spice is lingering a little bit. 1 and 2 felt pretty similar, but I'm not sure. Number 3. All right, that one's interesting. I think a little more pork forward, if you will. Like I got the pork and the sauce and the stuff, less kind of herbaceous, which is kind of making me think 1 and 2 might be the same, and then number 3 is different. But let's see. Oh, okay. So I was right here, and yeah, I mean, this is really cool actually side by side. I mean, all 3 of them are great. Like if you make it with holy basil, you make it with Thai basil, you make it with Italian basil, it's going to be a great dish, but there are gonna be some differences. Yeah, for me, I think you get that kind of stronger, like almost anise type aroma from the holy basil, and I think it stands up well to the pork and the other ingredients, the spiciness, the garlic in there. Whereas, yeah, the Thai basil is a little bit more subtle. So this is kind of making me wonder, like, maybe if you're using Thai basil, you could use more to kind of make it a little bit more pronounced. It feels a little bit on the mellower side versus the holy basil is just super nice and fragrant. So in conclusion here, there can be a lot of variations of this dish with different proteins, maybe slightly different aromatics, or the way you make your stir fry sauce. And when it comes to your basil choice, I definitely think after testing that it is worth it to maybe try growing your own, just because this is pretty hard to find in the US. And for me, mine's kind of growing like a weed out here, so it's pretty easy to grow depending on where you may be. So very interesting video. I think that'll wrap it up for me in this video. If you've ever tried holy basil for your Pad Kra Pao, let me know down in the comments. Or if you make any variations, that would be interesting too. But that will wrap it up for me in this one. I will catch you all in the next one. Peace, y'all.